Notice there are broken people all over the world, and maybe you're one of them. Well, what do we do about it? We're going to talk to pastor and author Steve Wiens coming up next here on Bible News Radio, which starts right now.
So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore thou shalt hear the word of my mouth, and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's edition of Bible News Radio. As you guys know, I'm your very sweet and lovable host, Stacy Lynn Harp. And tonight, I'm really glad that you have joined us because tonight we're going to talk to an awesome dude who is actually younger than me. And you know what I'm going to do? Because I can, nobody can stop me. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to welcome you, say, hey, hi. Hey, are you guys shocked that we're like totally on time? We're like 1 minute early compared to other days. Anyway, I want to say hi to some people coming in. Melanie, Mr. Clay, Bareface. I know it's not your real name, but that's okay. And you anonymous people who are too afraid to put your names up there, thank you guys for coming in. That's all right. Hey, Joel, nice to see you. And just so you know, right before our show, I need you to gasp because, you know, it's important for drama effect. Right before my show, my iPhone died, you guys. Can you believe that? So I have to look over there, that way, at the iPad. So if I look like I'm disoriented, it's because I am. Usually I look that way. But tonight, I'm going to be looking that way. I'm going left tonight. I'm leaning to the left. Anyway, so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to talk to our great guest here, Steve Wiens. Yes, that's right. He is the founding pastor of Genesis Covenant Church. He's been a pastor since 1995, way back in the 1900s there, serving congregations ranging in size from 150 to 5,000. He's the author of Beginnings, the First 7 Days of the Rest of Your Life, and podcasts at This Good Word, which is very cool too. Very cool. He and his wife, Mary, and their 3 young boys live in Maple Grove, Minnesota. And you can visit his website at stevewiens.com. And for those of you on the podcast, it's Steve, W-I-E-N-S.com. Of course, if you're looking at the podcast, then I've already put the link in there for you. So you don't even need me to spell it for you, but I thought I would anyway, just because. Anyway, Steve has written a brand new book called Whole, Me, You, and the Whole Entire World. Although he didn't say the whole entire world. He just said the entire world, which is a pretty lofty goal, don't you think? I actually do. So, hey, you know, without further ado, Steve, welcome to the show. Glad you're here.
Hi, Stacy. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Okay, you know what? I decided I'm not gonna jump right into your book. I'm gonna ask you a couple A-list guest questions because last night I didn't get to do this with an author, and you're a pastor, and because you're a pastor, you seem a little bit fun. So I'm gonna throw out 3 A-list guest questions for you.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. What kind of magnets do you have on your refrigerator?
You're not going to believe it. We have 3 kids and no magnets on our refrigerator. Zero. Zilch. None.
Do you have one of those?
Actually, yeah. Our refrigerator, the magnets stick to the side, but not the front. So you can't, we're not even allowed to have magnets on our fridge, Stacy. It's a travesty.
It is. Where else do you put magnets?
I don't even know. Where indeed? I don't know. We're just a magnet-free family, really, at this point. We're forced to be. All
right. Okay. You know, the very first guest I ever asked that was Twyla Paris. And
Twyla.
She has a stainless steel fridge and couldn't have any magnets on her fridge either.
Yeah. Well,
true story.
Well, Twyla, though. I'd be interested to know,
Yeah. All right. Question number 2. And if this is too personal, you don't have to answer it. But the question is, What is it? Oh, yeah. Okay, when you took your driver's test for the first time, did you pass it?
I did, but I got a 70. So to pass, you need a 70. And I got right on the money, a 70. I took it in Minnesota, which is where I live now, and it was snowing and crazy and stuff. So, I mean, I earned that 70. So I got a D minus, but I passed.
All right. See, that's pretty awesome. I actually didn't, just so you know.
Oh, a lot of people don't.
Don't you feel better about yourself now? You do, don't you?
Oh, man, I feel like $1 million.
Gotcha. All right. This third question was inspired by somebody on Facebook who I actually play pickleball with, and he is a therapist. Inquiring minds want to know, first of all, do you like eggs?
Oh, yeah. I eat eggs most every morning.
You do? Okay. So good. So you would be the perfect person to ask this question. Okay. So when you have your egg carton and the eggs are in it, okay, when you take them out, what do you do after you take them out?
Oh, okay. So if I take it over, if I take the whole egg carton near the frying pan, I crack that egg on the side of the frying pan and I put it right back in the egg carton. I don't leave them in there, but that is where I put them, in the in-between time before I put them in the trash.
Okay, so you answered both questions because that was my last question, which was, okay, so, but you don't rearrange the eggs that are left. You just leave them there?
What do you mean? Like make sure that it's all even Steven or something like that?
Yeah.
No, I don't rearrange, but I will tell you this, and I'm embarrassed about this, but if we have friends over for dinner and then they do the nice thing of like, hey, we'll load the dishwasher and like, we'll do the dishes and load the dishwasher. If they load that bad boy wrong, I will rearrange. I will do the dishes.
Gotcha. Well, me and Bareface, when we were first married, one of our biggest fights was about the dishwasher and whether or not the utensils go up or down.
Oh my gosh.
And honestly, I can't even remember who had that, whose thingy was, was mine up and his down. I don't even remember. It was so long ago, but I won't forget that we had the argument. I just don't remember what it was about. But I totally understand you. I feel it. I feel your pain, man.
I heard a couple who had a big fight about how to peel a banana.
Really?
And so one of them grabs the, the horn, sort of the handle, peels it down, but the other person always did it from the bottom.
That's how monkeys do it.
That way. Really?
Yeah. If you actually watch monkeys in their natural environment, they take the bottom of the banana, they squeeze it, and they peel it from the bottom up. True story.
Okay. I didn't know that, Stacey. Well, this, you're the marriage therapist, so maybe this couple needed to hear that, so who knows?
It's true. Watch YouTube. It's true. They have, yeah. Anyway, so I want to welcome a couple of people here. Sheetacula Rhodes. And you got Larissa's here. Denise is here. Thank you guys for coming in. Liz is here. And I appreciate you guys sharing that out. You guys rock. Okay, so our pastor tonight is Steve Wiens. And he's written a brand new book called Whole, Restoring What is Broken in Me, You, and the Whole Entire World. Although the word whole isn't in there. But you know what I mean. And so, of course, Steve, I have to, okay, you are more than a one-time author. This is your third book? Second book. Okay. All right. So why did you write this book? I know it's a boring question, but I have to ask it.
No, I don't think it's a boring question. So I wrote it over the course of about 2 years when we really started to see in our country and in our world a whole lot of brokenness. I remember seeing this video that went viral about this little kid in Damascus that the building that he lived in got bombed. He got pulled out of the building, and this kid was 5 years old. And on the video, he gets placed in the ambulance. I remember the orange seats into the ambulance, and he is the right side of his face is covered in blood. The left side of his face is covered in drywall, and he is sitting there looking stunned. And he reaches up to, touch his face, and he's touching the blood. And I remember thinking, what is our world coming to? So there is a whole lot of brokenness that we see both outside of the U.S., but also inside of the U.S. Our political discourse is broken, as everybody feels and senses, no matter what side you're on. We don't know how to talk to one another anymore. And so whole is my manifesto of hope, that I believe that at all times, God is always at work, always making all things new. And so the word whole comes from the Hebrew word shalom, which is usually translated as peace, but and it means peace, but it means more than peace. It means a sense of completeness or wholeness when something that has been shattered gets put back together. So there's filled with stories from my own life and from the stories of Scripture about how the long, hard, and sometimes painful path of restoration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, and I love that too. And I love especially how you dig into the language. In fact, when I was looking at the Amazon reviews, so many people commented on that, and how, especially when you were going through you want to share one of those examples, like in the book?
Yeah, so for those of you that aren't familiar with the Scriptures, maybe some of you, Cain and Abel are the sons of Adam and Eve. And so we find in Genesis 4 that Cain, which it comes from a word that means gain, and then Abel comes from a word that means vapor. And so, and Cain murders Abel because he's angry. His sacrifice doesn't get accepted from God, while Abel's does. And so the first brothers in Genesis end up murdering each other, or one of them murders the other one. So where you have to go with that is for the whole rest of Genesis, if you read it with that lens, we're going to find brothers at war with each other. Isaac and Ishmael are at war with each other. Jacob and Esau are at war with each other. Joseph's brothers, his 12 brothers, want to kill him. And so the whole question is, in Genesis, is will gain continue to have dominance over the life that seems to be like vapor? And so it's a delicious, delicious conversation when God asks Cain, where is your brother? And then Cain answers with a question. And the famous question is, I don't know, am I my brother's keeper?
Right.
And the fascinating thing is God doesn't answer the question, right? And when God doesn't answer a question in Scripture, we're going to find out that it's going to take a long time for that question to be answered. And it takes the rest of Genesis. So I find that a delicious storyline.
Yeah, well, and that's an actual interesting question, because I've always read that, and I could be wrong because I'm not a pastor, but I've always read that question as a kind of sarcastic, snarky question. Yeah. And also the negative connotation. It was, to me, and I could be wrong, like I said, to me it was said in a negative way. And yet, at the same time, we as a culture, American culture in particular, tend to use that in a positive way, which I've always found interesting, because the context doesn't, at least, depict to me as a positive question. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's what I love what you're doing with that is you're taking the text and you're wondering, because we can't tell. I mean, it's like we're reading an email. We can't tell the emotion. We can't tell the nuance. We don't know whether or not Cain is being snarky. Maybe Cain is being snarky. Maybe he's terrified. Maybe it's an honest question. But the point is to read the Scriptures with all those questions. That's what I think is that's when it gets really interesting. And the reason why, you mentioned that I love the language. Mm-hmm. That word for keeper, it literally means, it's a word shamar, and it means to guard. The first time we see shamar show up in the Scriptures is in Genesis 1, when God sets Adam and Eve in the garden to keep it, or to guard it, to shamar it. And so it means to take care of it, to cultivate it, to work at it so that it flourishes. So why this question matters, whether or not it's a question of snarkiness or fear, is that the answer is we are there to help our brothers and our sisters flourish. We are there to sort of cultivate their life like a garden so that they flourish. But of course, what we're going to find out through really almost the entire, our brothers and sisters will usually try to one up them. And that's why we need to work toward restoration, because of our brokenness, because of our fear, because of our hiding, we're going to work toward not the flourishing of our brothers and sisters, but really many times the destruction.
All right. So you said a couple things. So restoration, that's one word. And of course, Jesus gave us the ministry of reconciliation, right?
Yeah.
So, but what's, and so, I mean, here you are, you're the nerve of you trying to to talk about, how to restore people to wholeness and stuff. And as you know, I'm going to assume you've been a Christian for a while, like, at least a couple of years anyway, since at least 1995, right?
Yeah.
And the church, though, see, the church is, in my opinion, the church is a battleground. There's a fly around here. We should kill it. No, I'm just kidding. Randall would take it and set it free outdoors if he could. Last night, I literally had a gnat land on my nose during the interview. I was like,
oh my goodness. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, but anyway, okay, so, but in the church, okay, so let's talk about the family, because, because what you said is so true. And, I'm almost 50. I mean, I'm getting close to 50. And one of the things that I have noticed, especially with people in my peer group, I don't know if it's because we're all going through menopause or what the heck, there's it's like this high schoolish, behavior, and people throw around terms like "I love you" very cavalierly, like "Oh, I love you" and "Oh, I love you" and blah blah blah. But when it really when the rubber meets the road or hits the road, whatever that saying is, and times get really tough, most people don't really have a community or people that they really can turn to, because so many people are backstabbers, and it's very frustrating to me personally, because I'm a genuine person. I actually mean what I say. And I want you to address this, because I think we need to love people where they're at, right? I mean, I think, like, Steve, if I were to say, "Hey, bro, I love you, dude," me and you became tight, and, and everything, and then one day you have a bad day and you swear or you do something horrible like sin, and it becomes known, and you came to me and you said, "You know what, let's say you just cuss me out, okay? Now, I would have a choice to whether or not I was going to respond to you in love, or just tell you to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then come back and go, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, I love this guy, even though, right, he had a bad day. I want somebody to love me when I have a bad day. But, why do you think there's that lack of grace, and that hinders the wholeness that we all want? I guess that's a big, long-winded question to get to that point, but...
I think it's a great question. I mean, I think that brings it right down to the nitty gritty real life, which I love. So I think most of us, when we are backstabbing or even, swearing someone out, or any time that we're in conflict with someone in a negative way, because there is positive conflict. I mean, that's one of the ways that restoration happens. But when we're judging someone else, which is essentially what you just talked about, I think it's because there's some hidden thing in us that's being exposed by the other person's offense. And so, people are great mirrors, actually. And the thing that bugs us the most in other people is haven't faced yet, that it hasn't healed yet. It's some wound that hasn't healed. And so to the degree that we're unable, unwilling to move toward and do the work to do our own restoration, I think most of the time our judgment is just going to boomerang. It's going to hit people, like you just sort of explained, and then it's going to hit us. I mean, when Jesus says, "Don't judge or you'll be judged," I really think that's like a boomerang, like your judgment. It's almost like this is what's going to happen. When, to the degree that you judge people, that boomerang is going to come right back and hit you. And, God's almost like, I don't even have to get involved at that point. That's just the way humanity works. When you judge, it's going to come back to you, because we judge out of our own woundings. And so that's why it's just even more important, I think, for us to do the hard, painful, sometimes lonely work of being honest about what is broken. And so in the book I write, the first chapter is God's first question to human beings, which is, where are you? And it's after Adam and Eve's sin. And I don't take that question as like a wink, nod. Hey, I know exactly where you are, but I'm just going to ask you the question because I want to trick you. I really think it's God's caring question to all of us when we sin and when we're lost in shame and we're hiding. So the first question that we need to hear from God is, hey, where are you? And can you own your story? Can you own where you are? And can you come out of hiding? And when we can do that, then I think relationships start to get a little more healthy. Not perfect, and certainly not conflict-free. I mean, you were just telling me you were married. You've been married for 25 years. I've been married for 22. Part of the great, a great healthy marriage fights, has conflict, goes at it, because it's two human beings that are moving toward wholeness.
Me and Randall have never fought.
I can, you are a liar right now, sister.
Yeah, I am. That's so true. Yeah. And I actually would admit that I've started some of those fights.
Oh, only one, maybe two.
Hey, I have to tell you honestly that, my background and a lot of this goes back to family systems, but our backgrounds, you have, between my mom and dad and Randall's mom and dad, there are 12 marriages. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got incest, we got divorce, we got alcoholism, we got pedophilia. We've got a whole bunch of crap in our family of origins, and Randall and I got saved and got married, and it was like, but 25 years later, after 15 years of, 7 years of marriage counseling, 1 hospitalization, and a partridge in a pear tree. Anyway, we're still standing 25 years later because of the Lord, right? But that's because, and I say this, I know I'm kind of being a little bit funny, but I'm saying it because it's actually, it took a lot of work, and
yeah.
One of my favorite verses is Psalm 51, verse 6. Most people look at Psalm 51 and you understand the context of King David and his repentance and all that, all the things that he could have been killed for under the law. He wasn't. God was merciful. But Psalm 51 verse 6 says, surely thou desirest truth in the inner parts. You will make me to know wisdom, right? And I love that verse. It's one of my favorite verses in the whole Bible because it gets to the core of what you were just, David, in his sin. He says, there's this sheep and, and blah, blah. And what would you do?
It was a great setup.
I know it was great because
setup.
he appealed to David as a shepherd, right? Yeah. Not the king there. And David was outraged, and then thou art the man, that is the epitome of what you're talking about. And yet, we see throughout scripture too. I'm sure you've read the whole Bible and you've written about a lot of this in your book, that there has to be some, modicum of humility that comes through when people are trying to become real, right? See, I always believe there's a cost to becoming real, and that cost is very high. But if you're willing to pay it, your life can be great.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the church earlier, Stacy, and I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor for 22 years, so I've been in the church a lot of my life. And the church is beautiful, and the church has helped so many people. So I'm not trying to bash the church, and I will say there's just a whole lot of hiding in the church, and there's a whole lot of veneer. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of, hey, how's it going? I'm fine. Are you fine? I'm fine. Everybody's fine. And no one's fine, really. And so what you're saying is that there's a price to pay by being authentic or by being real.
Right.
That price is sometimes getting ostracized. If you're in a system, be it church or family, that has to protect some set of values that is going to mitigate against people being authentic, then your authenticity actually will get ostracized. It won't be valued. It'll be thrown out. And one of the reasons why I actually still love the scriptures after all these years, and I sometimes have to fight with the scriptures, that's okay, but is that there is literally no veneer. I mean, people in the scriptures are complete mixed bags. You brought up David, man after God's own heart. Oh, and also a murderer and an adulterer and a passive father at times. Yep. But instead of that actually gives me hope, because a scoundrel like myself maybe could get grace too, if someone like David could. So I think the church, and I think back to your question about how do we interact with each other and, forgive each other, really. When we start treating people like they need Jesus more than we do, right? That's when we get into huge problems. So, I think that's a good maxim to live by. No one needs Jesus more than I do, So maybe that's step one for humility.
Well, yeah. Plus, it's funny. How dare you say Jesus' name? The nerve of you bringing him up in this conversation. I mean,
he's kind of a stinker at times, though, isn't he?
I know, right? But I want to go back to your point about being fine. Have you ever heard the acronym, what that stands for?
Fine? Mm-hmm. No.
Okay.
Tell me.
Pardon my language.
It doesn't include any vulgarities, does it?
Well,
we're in the air here.
The original F stands for, effed up. Okay, so you can use fouled up if you prefer, but the original one, at least the context I heard, the F stands for what?
I like the original version.
Yeah, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's what fine means. Okay, so when anybody ever says they're fine, I instantly think effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Oh, I'm going to use that forever from now on. That's so good.
You can. I don't know. Everybody's full of crap. Let's just say it, right? Don't you love me?
No, I love it because it's true. It's
true.
But also, so that can either put you into a pit of shame or else give you so much freedom. Absolutely. Now I can stop hiding and stop pretending that I have to have it all together. And maybe I can move towards something real and something authentic, something whole. I posted this thing, Stacy, on Twitter the other day. And it was on a sunny morning. And I basically said, it was a riff on a beatitude. I basically made up a beatitude, which I don't know if you're really allowed to do, but I did it. I said, blessed are those who can't even breathe inside of the church because of the pain it's caused, for God will meet them elsewhere. Right?
Yeah, I saw that actually. I like that.
Well, I'm not huge on Twitter. If I get 10 retweets, I'm like, yes, killing it. But that one blew up. It absolutely went crazy because so many people are so desperate to hear that actually God is bigger than the church. And actually the church has really caused a lot of people a lot of pain. But that's not the end of the story. But if we can at least admit that,
right, then
maybe we can start moving toward healing and wholeness.
Yeah. Well, so don't hate me for saying this, but don't you think it begins with leadership? Don't you think because so many pastors are wimps and they hide and blah, blah, that I believe that the church is only as healthy as leadership is. And so if you have crappy leadership, you're going to have a dysfunctional body. That's my opinion, but that's what I've observed as well.
Stacey, I totally agree. The only caveat that I would give with that, because I do totally agree, is some churches. So let's imagine a church that's been around for 120 years. Okay. And they've changed pastors every 5 years. So they've had 55 pastors, or I'm a pastor,
that'd be a dysfunctional church for sure.
So the question is, though, I guarantee you the leadership of that church is not the pastor. It's some family. Some family has led that church for 50 years. Yep. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same principle. Yeah. Unhealthy leadership, but it's not many times it's the pastor. I would say that, but sometimes it's the hidden family that's been leading the thing forever. And some of the people that are listening right now are like, I absolutely saw that, because I saw 3 pastors get chewed up by the same family that greeted them with such warmth and such grace and such bless your heart. And then, by the first time that the pastor said something that they didn't agree with, essentially that was the end of the story.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I actually call those people the puppet masters behind the scenes. And, And, it's really sad, because I got chewed up in a church, and it was by the puppet master people. And I did nothing. I honestly did nothing. Yeah. It's like, what? Oh, I hold a degree in psychology, so I'm evil. Therefore, and it's funny because, I left the church actually about 7 years ago. And got involved in a home church for a while, which was way healthier, way smaller. And it's only taken like 5 more years for me to actually go to a church. And I have to be honest and say, here, moving to Tennessee, I was thinking, hey, I'm in the Bible Belt. This is going to be super awesome. Are you kidding me? This place is more wretched than California.
See what I just did there?
Yeah. But, it's really funny, though. And God has this sense of humor. I know our time's almost up, but the woman at the church that I went to, see, I rescued my dad, brought him from Florida to here. Long story short, ended up in this Baptist church. And I'm not a Baptist, but ended up in this Baptist church because my 89-year-old dad wanted to go there with dementia. So I was like, okay, Dad, we're going to bring you there. And this woman, she kept bugging me. Well, tell me your name. I'm like, told you my name already. Well, when's your birthday? Why don't you come to the Bible study? Man, just gazillions of questions irritated the hell out of me. And I'm like, just like, stay away, leave me alone, because wait, how long have you been in part of this church? 40 years? I'm like, oh my God. In my mind, okay, this is a true story. In my mind, I'm like, this woman is Jezebel. She's the evil one in this church. And so for like a year, she asked me to go out to lunch. And I'm like, nope, that ain't happening, just so you know. And about probably a year and a half into it, I finally said, fine, I'll go out to lunch just to shut you up. I didn't say that out loud, but in my mind. So I went out and I sat there, and this woman shared with me her testimony. She's in her 70s. And I sat there, and I like started to cry. I was like, oh my gosh. So then I was like, okay, maybe she isn't as bad as I thought. And then it was probably about 3 months later, I called her up and I invited her out to lunch. And then I shared with her my testimony, and I told her honestly, I said, you know what? I said, I thought that you were the hypocrite Jezebel that like controlled this church, blah, blah, etc. And, and she said, she was like the super kindest person ever, and totally nothing. I mean, she's like me. She's real and authentic. But it took me being able to risk, and her persistence actually, and now I teach Awana at the church. Go figure, right?
Wow. No, that's great, because, something similar happened to me. I recently, Stacy, thanks for that. That's such a great story, actually, of wholeness. I mean, not to be cheesy and bring it back, but because it's so easy to write someone off, right? And there's a lot of reasons why we would write someone off. They're maybe they come across too strong or whatever. But this guy, Facebooked me, and I'd known this guy from previous church, and he said, Steve, you've been influential in my life, but I got to say that your Facebook posts really hurt me. They hurt my feelings. I had mentioned some things about a certain political party that he was a part of, and then he said, can we get together for lunch? And I was the same thing. I was the same way that you were. I'm like, no, I do not. This is a waste of time. Because it was a long post, and it wasn't all nice, but there was this little whisper, like, is that the kind of person you want to be? Like, you want to write someone off and not have lunch with them, and you talk a good game about loving your enemy, but you can't even go to lunch with a person that you disagree with. So I did. I went out to lunch just like you, and I heard his story just like you did, and I ended up loving this guy. Now we do disagree pretty vehemently on stuff,
sure,
but who cares? Like I mean, you were telling me before about your friends and about how, you see life differently. That's beautiful. That makes life better, right? We don't have to agree with one another, but we do need to give one another a chance, right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing you saying. We need to sometimes overcome. I'm not going to go to lunch with them. Oh.
It's true. It's very true. And actually, I play pickleball. Here's a true story. And I know we only have 30 minutes. We've already gone over. So just yell at me when you want to end. But I'll end with this to respect your time. I play pickleball, and you wouldn't think that mature adults from 40 on up to 80 would fight playing pickleball. But they do. True story, right? You got your dominant, I'm so great players versus the amateurs or the intermediate players like me who are not so bad, but I'm not that great either. And some people, I don't want to play with you because you don't play as good. And they're all Christians for the most part. There's a couple that aren't, but for the overwhelming majority say they are. And, some of the snooty, I'm really good players don't want to play with the newbie older players who can't run or hit as well. And the lesson that God's been teaching me and all these people, because I'm one of the popular kids, I get called down because I will play with everybody because I'm not a brat, is that
you should start putting that underneath your Stacy Lynn Harp, not a brat. That's what you should start putting.
I should write that down. True.
Keep going, sorry.
You guys know you're going to hashtag that now, right?
Not a brat.
But the truth is you ever heard of the golden rule? Right? Treat somebody the way you want to be treated. It is so funny to me that doesn't seem to be common courtesy, right? I mean, It's like, hey, it's like you can be bullied at a pickleball game by people who are brats. They don't, and yet, so how much more so in church, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. This is where we're supposed to love one another. Well, wait a minute. Flo over there didn't bring the, bean casserole that I like. And Joe over there ate all the cupcakes that I wanted. You people are evil. How come you didn't bring any gluten-free stuff for me, you person?
Well, you read the scriptures and it's funny, like when Paul writes, I can't remember what it was, but he's like, oh, by the way, so-and-so, stop sleeping with your mother.
Yeah, just as an aside.
It's Philippians or 1st and 2nd Timothy or something like that. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, so at least we come by it somewhat honestly, this dysfunction that we have. And the crazy Flo and Joe, they're all part of the family that we somehow have to figure out a way to not absolutely want to kill. It's like this is part of the beauty of the church. That like you on the pickleball, is it a court?
Yeah.
Field? Pitch?
It's a court. Mm-hmm.
The pickleball court, you're going to go down and play with the newbies or whatever. And that is what it comes down to. We laugh about it, but it's these small little things. Like, are we going to forgive and move toward the people that bug us? And that's a part of wholeness that I don't think gets much press. It's this really small stuff. So
it's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Steve, your book is whole. And what do you want people to get out of your book? I guess that's the last question.
Ooh, delicious question. I don't even want to be that prescriptive. I mean, I think I ask a lot of really, good questions in the book that are honest questions. And so I would hope that people would buy the book, read it, really believe the scriptures that are there, not as much to give us all the answers, but to lead us on a journey where we're asking really good questions of God and of each other, and where we allow God to ask us the good questions that actually might lead us closer and closer toward a sense of restoration. And so that's what I hope for people. Stacy, thanks for asking.
You're welcome. And that was actually an original question.
Beautiful.
I didn't use the cheat sheet questions. But anyway, where can people get your book?
You can get it almost anywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Nav Press. You can go to my website, stevewiens.com. Like Stacy, you said earlier, it's WIENS.com. On my website, you can get links to both of my books. You can get a link to my podcast, which is called This Good Word. You can read my blog. So really maybe the website is kind of the best one-stop shop. But if you want to just go buy the book, you can get it on Kindle or a Nook. You can get the audiobook. I narrated the audio. So if you're into audiobooks, do that. Or, you can get it on paperback. I think it's about $10 right now, pretty much everywhere. So
very cool. Well, congratulations on it. And all the good reviews.
Thank you, Stacy. This was really fun. You are fun. You are a fun host. And this was unlike some of the other interviews where, let's just say, some of them are great, but some of them are not as fun as this one was. So,
well, all hail to the poop, just so you know.
Not a brat. Not a brat. Hashtag.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm going to get on Twitter right now and just flood your feed with not a brat. That's what I'm going to do right now.
All right. That would be good. All right,
okay.
Steve. Well, thanks. I'll friend you on Facebook. Then we'll make it official.
Beautiful.
Okay.
We are official. Facebook official.
All right. Cool.
Thanks, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay. Okay. So, everybody, as you know, that was Pastor Steve Wiens. And his church, again, is called Genesis Covenant Church. As he actually shared in the show, and I'm actually going to stop my other recording here so I can get this out of my way on my computer. He's more of a he's more of a progressive pastor with a liturgical bent, and it's interesting because I was reading his Twitter account, and you might not agree with it, but hey, just saying, he loves the Lord, and if you want to check out his book, go for it. I have a copy right here. All right, the other thing I want to do is remind you we have two giveaways right now running, and if you guys want to enter the giveaway for our BNR 10 million, because you guys tapped 10 million hearts for us, which is amazing to me, it's like crazy actually, then send me a tweet or just tweet out the hashtag BNR 10 million, like Bareface put up there on the screen. You can do that
for the
books
listeners.
Yeah, these are for the a box of Christian books that I'm going to send one person in America, or if the person who wins is in another country, we'll send you an Amazon gift card so you can get that.
Just thinking it needs to be spelled out for the audio audience.
Okay, so BNR, the number 10 million.
So BNR, as in Bible News Radio, 10, and the word million.
Gotcha. So, yeah, and let me say hi to Jeff and Joel here. And Melanie, I already said hi to you. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Melanie. No, thanks for tweeting that out. And Mia was here, and there's Mia, too. Yeah. All right, Bareface. So, I was having a hard time tweeting this out for some reason. I don't even know why, but it's just, anyway. And you guys pray for my iPhone, man. My iPhone died. I don't even know what happened. It won't even start anymore, and I didn't even do anything to it. So I'm irritated because tomorrow I have to go to T-Mobile or something and get it fixed. But anyway, so that's the first contest. The second one is for the Ariel giveaway. Ariel Ministries is our sponsor. As you guys know, you can go to ariel.org and save 20% when you use the coupon code Bible News. And of course, we've been highlighting the Yeshua books, Life of the Messiah from a Messianic Jewish Perspective. And next month, they are going to be releasing the abridged version of the book Yeshua, which actually compiles all 4 versions of that book in one book. But we're doing a pre-launch giveaway, and that giveaway actually will also include Ariel's Harmony of the Gospels. So there you see on the screen, if you tweet out hashtag BNRAriel to enter that, this giveaway the drawing will be on October 10th, the day after my 49th birthday. Just so you know, I will be 49 on October 9th. Yeah, he hashtag not a brat, hashtag fine. That's hilarious. I got to retweet that just so you know. See, now y'all know what fine means. I gotta do that. Have to thanks, Steve. Yeah, okay. Don't you love real people? That's hilarious. Okay, anyway. So yeah, become a part of the Ariel giveaway. We're going to be doing more giveaways depending on how good this one went. So hashtag BNR Ariel to enter that contest. And this fly is really driving me and Randall crazy. It's like all over the room. It's all over. Now, we also talked to Steve about shame and about hiding. You know, we talked about Cain and stuff, and then I brought up David, you know, Psalm 51:6, which, you know, you guys know is one of my favorite verses, but it's also one of the key verses in my course, Your Secrets Are Not Secret, The Cost of Becoming Real. And if you guys haven't gotten that yet, you can still get it if you go to bit.ly/BNR classroom and get it and support the show that way. I hope you do. It's actually really good. It's a good course. Not because I did it, but honestly because I think it's really a good course. So you can do that and also become part of our Unstuck Club, the Unstuck Club. So if you just go to the link in our Periscope profile there, or go to bit.ly/Unstuck Club and join that, that would rock. Become part of that. I'm going to be putting up a new video tomorrow for the Unstuck Club, just so you know. Weekly inspiration to move you forward. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, if you want to be a pillar of the community, you guys know, just go over to BibleNewsRadio.com/give and just become a pillar. Help us out. We actually need it, you guys. I recently had a loss of income doing a part-time job, and so we even need it now more than we did before. And we needed it pretty bad before. So you can go there and support the community. That would be really awesome if you did that. So appreciate that. All right. So tomorrow night on Bible News Radio, our special guest is Jason Wallace, who is after 10 o'clock. He does Bible study, and he has a very radical conversion of coming out of the Roman Catholic Church. He was very hurt in the church as well, and God has actually redeemed him. He actually teaches Awana like I do. Yeah. And he will be my guest tomorrow night, so I hope you guys can tune in for that, because we're trying to encourage you by introducing you to other Periscopers that you may or may not be aware of, just so you know. You know what I mean? Boy, it seems super dead in here tonight. Are we really that boring tonight? I mean, there's 0 hearts, and there's like 5 people in there sitting. I don't know. Are you guys alive? Are you watching? Is anybody here? Are you seeing anything? Okay, I don't know, because it looks kind of stuck. Or it could just be my energy is off. I don't know. But anyway.
There is a flow of green hearts.
Yeah.
There was?
Yeah.
Okay. And here comes a yellow heart.
Yeah, so, oh, wow. One whole, yeah, there we go. That was awesome. Okay,
I can do that again. That was me doing the yellow heart.
Hey, you know what? There's some days where you need more love than others, right? And I've had a rough day, actually. I've had a rough couple of days. I've been struggling, to be honest, you know, with some sadness. You know. Oh, you're listening while you work. Oh, okay. So, well, yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, I grew up in a shoebox in the middle of the motorway. No, never mind.
Okay. Well. Okay. What did that have to do? Did I miss something?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I don't know what I missed.
I'll share with you.
You will?
Later.
Okay. Because I need your help.
No.
I think Joel got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you, might as well. We got a little time.
Yeah,
to kill.
you may as well, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, you know, you're saying you had a rough day, and I was thinking...
I did.
And I was thinking, well, I've had a pretty rough day, too. But then I thought, well, what is this, some kind of competition? Uh-huh. And this is all going inside my head, so I remembered a competition that was a Monty Python sketch with these guys sitting on a park bench, and they one-up each other. You know, when I was a kid. And then they just get into ridiculous, just complete nonsense. When I was a lad, we lived in a shoebox in the middle of the motorway. And my father would get us up at 10:30, an hour before we went to bed, and murder us in cold blood. And anyway, they're just trying to one up each other, and just the extremes that they went through as children. And anyway, so now and I'm sorry. It's just the oddness that goes on in my head when I was, getting ready to say that I had a pretty hard day too, and was worried that it might sound like a competition, like I was trying to one-up you, and then that led me on to thinking about that sketch, and that's what came out of my mouth.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys something, okay? So those of you who are still listening, how would you encourage Randall and me right now, who are kind of feeling like we're in a wilderness, kind of wandering around for like 20, or not 20 years, but like
almost 5. Well, no, because this whole journey started in 2011, so only 6.
Huh. Okay.
Maybe the 7th year is going to be the great one.
Yeah, but okay, so do you want to share with everybody your struggle? I think it would be helpful if you did, because they might, maybe they'll have some, insight or something that they might be able to hold you.
Well, a lot of you do know my story, but those of you may not. I like the personal stories. Well, here's a personal story. Many years ago, let's see, 2008 or thereabouts, that maybe 9, somewhere in there, that one morning in my quiet time, that the Holy Spirit impressed upon me in an almost audible voice, told me to leave my career and get to a place where I was more flexible with my time and my travel. Just like that, honestly. And I thought, well, that was weird. And the Lord has spoken to me at other times, not in audible voices, but, Stacy can attest to it. How he's spoken to me, spoken to her plainly about things, giving away money, and et cetera, that I know his voice by now. I've been walking with him for 30-some years, and anyway, it was his voice. Leave your career, get to a place where you're more flexible with your time and travel. I thought it was a little extreme, so I prayed about it for a full year. And then it just was stronger every day. It's like, well, I need to do something about this. So I thought, well, reality check. I'll give myself a way out. I asked Stacy. Said, well, I said, I think the Lord's telling me to get out of my career and and just be ready for something. What do you think about I leave my well-paying career, my 6-figure job, for a guaranteed 0, and see what the Lord has for us? And she said, let's do it. So I said, okay. So I gave my business partners a 1-year notice. I figured that was fair since I was a partner. I wasn't just an employee. I was a partner in a business. Gave them a 1-year notice. And that 1-year notice ended in May of 2011. And so then, anyway, worked on selling our house, got that done, and worked on moving to a place where we could afford to buy a house outright with the proceeds of our other house in California. That led us to Middle Tennessee, where we are now. And but the money I'd saved up, especially when using it for house repairs and stuff like that, ran out pretty quick. And then we ate into Stacy's savings when we had to redo a lot of the stuff we paid for in this house. It was a fixer-upper and spent a lot of money anyway. So it was like, hey, let's get some money going here. And so before leaving California, there was an associate there, a Christian gal, this wonderful, godly woman who's in the advertising space. Anyway, long story short, she encouraged me to start up a business doing audio and video promotion, since I was already doing that for what was then our podcast, and for advertisers on our podcast, stuff like that. I'd acquired these skills. She says, why don't you just start a business and offer it to the market at large? And so I thought, that's an interesting idea. So when we got here, long story, launched that. And we're still eating and living indoors, but we borrow money every year to pay taxes, medical expenses, stuff like that, and we're in debt, because of meeting our expenses, and mostly, was borrowing money for taxes. Lloyd, if you don't spend it on business, if you're squandering it on utilities, groceries, stuff like that, that's not tax deductible. So, pretty much everything I brought in as a business was all taxable. And both sides, as self-employed, you're playing the employer side and the employee side. So it gets kind of steep. So I had to borrow lots of money for that. Anyway, so here we are, I'm like 4 years into that or whatever. And really just kind of struggling. And it seems like I'm not a marketing genius, but, if you, throw a handful of darts at a dartboard, one of them's bound to stick. And it seems like stuff that I've done to try to promote my business have just been just crickets. And I'm like, this just defies the odds of not getting something. And so
yeah, and meanwhile, we're helping other people make money and giving people money to help us make money and not getting anything in return. And, I don't get it.
Like, just don't know what the Lord's up to, and have I gone astray? I'm, and the more efforts I try to, get out of the debt that we're in, it seems like the less time that I'm flexible with my time when I travel, which is what the Lord called me to. And so I'm just trying to and I've asked him, okay, here I am flexible with my time and travel. Now, what's this for? And I'm not getting any direction through his people, through the scriptures, anything. It's just like, I don't know. So it's really a wilderness experience right now. There's a famine of
yeah, and it's not like we're not in the Word.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been more in the Word now than I think I've ever been. Well, I can't say my whole life, but yeah, I don't know. It's discouraging. I feel discouraged. Because when Randall's discouraged, I feel discouraged. And then
people say when mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, but
Well, but I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And I mean, having studied the book of Job, I understand that there's spiritual warfare that can go on, and I mean, that's the thing. We're honoring our parents, we're taking care of our parents, neither of whom deserve our help. To be honest, let's just be honest. And
well,
and we give
stir all sorts of email,
and just I don't know, and just I don't know, I don't get it. And yet I see the wicked prosper, which I think it's Psalm 37.
Psalm 37.
That says, don't envy those wicked evildoers or whatever.
Yep.
But now, even my phone is something as simple as my phone. It was working fine. I had it plugged in, and now I can't get it to work, which means that I'm going to have to take time tomorrow probably to go down to T-Mobile and waste 3 hours or whatever, because I got to drive half
It's
hour.
only 15 miles.
All right, still, I'm going to have to waste all this time to go get something fixed that shouldn't have to be fixed. I don't know. I don't know.
But, realizing it could be much worse, we could be living in Puerto Rico with a house that's been leveled and stuff like that. And so
no, we just don't get their products and stuff, and people buy it, but trying to sell our stuff is kind of like, nope. We don't want yours. And I'm like, okay, well, and that's not completely true. A couple people do, but by and large, it's like, oh, we love you, we love you, we love you. You guys are so awesome. You guys rock. You're great. Blah blah. We love you. Blah 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 blah. And it's kind of like, oh. And I literally have people say, hey, thanks for having that guy on your show. I just donated $100 to his ministry. I'm
Well,
like,
good. Then
good for him.
that's why I came on the show. So
And
you're
they-
effective. You're doing the job.
And you listen to our show all the time, but never donate to us. And I'm like, how? So me and Randall, we just don't get it. It's like, it's like weird.
We're not home yet. So
I know, but it's just, but you wanted to know, and this is kind of our wilderness journey. It's like, are we in some morbid sin that we don't know about, we're not aware of? I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, as far as I know, I'm not. I play pickleball. Is that a sin? I mean, maybe that's it right there.
It's not in the scripture, so it's unbiblical.
Well, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, whatever.
All
So,
right, well-
there you have it. So, you can pray for us if you want. If you want, I don't care. I mean, I would prefer it if you did, but only pray good stuff, okay? Yeah, don't pray like curses or anything against us. That would suck. We'd be like, why are you doing that? No. Yeah.
Well,
All right, so tomorrow we do have an interview with Jason Wallace, so you can tune in for that. And I think that's it, right? Do you want to make any final comments?
no, other than we're past our time. So
Okay.
Don't want to wear out our welcome, so.
All right. All right, so be bold, stand up, and go with God, you guys, because he loves you. It's really true, just so you know. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.